The frat boy accused of murder.
The attacker started to eat one of the victim's faces.
In the first interview since his arrest.
I've had weird dreams that I was worshipped religiously.
From his hospital bed.
I've heard voices of monsters and stuff.
What are they telling you?
Austin Harrouff speaks out.
Did you leave that restaurant wanting to hurt anyone?
No.
Why did you do it? Today, it's the interview everyone has been waiting to see. Austin Harrouff, the college student accused of murdering a couple in a shocking and disturbing way that made national headlines, spoke out from his hospital bed just days before he was moved to jail. According to family members, 19-year-old Austin Harrouff, a sophomore at Florida State University, had been behaving strangely for weeks when on August 15th, he abruptly left a dinner at a restaurant with his family. Austin allegedly went on to brutally murder an innocent couple later that night. Police say the teen stabbed John Stevens and his wife, Michelle Mishcon, to death and attacked a neighbor who tried to intervene. They claim they found Austin biting his victim's face and abdomen, and that it took multiple officers, a stun gun, and a K-9 officer to stop him. Take a look.
911.
Young man beating up a woman across the street.
Are either of them injured?
Yes, there's a girl laying on the ground. He beat her up.
Can you tell if she's conscious?
No, it does not appear so, no.
The couple were sitting, the door was open, enjoying the night air, and suddenly they were attacked, killed by what detectives say appears to be a random, drugged madman.
The offender was making animal-like sounds, grunting, growling.
The 19-year-old was dining at a Duffy's restaurant when someone set him off.
He then walked for 2.8 miles here to Kokomo Lane. Angry Austin went into this garage, home to 59-year-old John Stevens and his wife, Michelle Mishcon.
The 19-year-old attacker started to eat one of the victim's faces.
And where is he? Is he
I think
in the area
garage, right across the street from my house.
What kind of injuries do you have?
I've been stabbed in the back.
Okay, we got units en route, okay?
And I'm bleeding pretty bad.
Investigators say it took 4 deputies and a K-9 to pull Harrouff off the victim.
The initial drug screening test did not show any drugs present in Austin's system, but that does not test for flocka or other bath salts.
He is in life-threatening condition. Whether he will ultimately survive is just not known.
Breaking news now, the suspect in the killings of a couple near Tequesta is now awake.
19-year-old Austin Harrouff will now face the punishment for what he did that awful night in August.
Immediately following this horrific crime, Austin's father, Dr. Wade Harrouff, spoke to us in an exclusive interview. He denied his son was under the influence of any illegal substances, such as the synthetic drug flocka, and said he witnessed his son becoming increasingly erratic in the weeks leading up to the killings. The night that this tragic event happened, the two of you had dinner, correct?
Correct. Austin drank a glass of tea, then went to the bathroom, and he vanished. His mother called and said he was over at her house.
How far is it to his mother's house?
About 2 miles.
How did he get there?
Walked. He grabbed a bottle of Wesson and was going to drink it.
She brings him back to the restaurant. What did you do?
Grabbed him by the shirt. What is wrong with you? He was totally embarrassed. Then he left. We got a call about 2 in the morning. The police said, we found Austin.
Did they describe what had happened at the scene of the crime?
Police said he's killed 2 people and eaten them. And the blood that you see is not his own.
How did your son wind up in intensive care?
He was poisoned. He had inflamed esophagus, stomach, and he almost died.
Is it possible he's had some kind of psychotic episode here?
That's what I believe. He's had the symptoms for about 2 weeks prior. I just thought he'd snap out of it.
I don't need drugs. That's not being healthy.
That's the beginning of his psychosis. He started getting weird.
Do you think he was ever involved with steroids?
No. He was always proud of the fact that he did it without steroids.
Have they allowed you in to see him?
No, he's handcuffed to the bed.
So he's detained but not charged?
Correct.
If there's one thing that you want people to know about your son, Austin, what is it?
He was a good person. An extremely nice, gentle person who wouldn't hurt a flea. And I apologize for him. Because my husband would have never done that, he would never knowingly done anything like that.
You want to know what happened to him?
Yeah. I want to talk to him because he will tell the story, even if he's guilty.
Dr. Harrouff contacted us a few weeks after his interview and said that his son wanted to speak to me. So we spoke to Austin Harrouff days before he was moved from his hospital bed to jail. This all happened within minutes, so you may notice we didn't have our usual cameras in place, so we relied in part on cell phone footage. We recorded this FaceTime call with Austin from his hospital bed. Got a message this morning that you had asked for me to call you, so tell me what you wanted to say.
It's like waking up in a nightmare. I feel really bad about what happened. I can't sleep at night. And I appreciate you showing the world that I'm not a terrible person. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You may not understand the impact of everything that I'm asking, but trust me that I do. How long have you been awake?
Maybe about 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what's the first thing that you remember when you woke up?
I don't know. I've had weird dreams. I've heard voices and things. Never meant for this to happen. I didn't even know anything was wrong. I didn't realize. I wasn't conscious of what was happening to me.
When you woke up, did you know how long you had been unconscious?
Not until I was told. I just remember just waking up in the hospital, not knowing what was going on.
Why did you think you were in the hospital when you woke up?
Well, I had memories of what the incident was, and I remember my feet were handcuffed to the hospital bed, and there'd be an officer inside the room, so I knew something wasn't right.
Right.
I didn't know if it was reality or if it was a dream. It's like waking up in a nightmare.
Tell me about the dreams you've been having since you woke up.
I've had dreams about the hospital staff, and I dreamed that I was worshipped religiously.
Tell me about being worshipped.
I remember being in like a temple or something. Like there was like two guys that like worshiped me. I don't really remember exactly.
And did you have a sense of what you were being worshipped for?
No.
And did you know who these people were?
No. Some people in some temple or some religious ceremonial place.
Austin, how do you feel about these people that have lost their lives?
I feel really bad, and I'm so sorry. I feel terrible. I can't sleep at night knowing what happened. I don't even know what to say.
Did you want to hurt those people?
No, I don't know. I don't know why I did.
You didn't know them at all, correct?
No, I didn't know them. I didn't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it happened.
Do you remember being at dinner at the restaurant with your dad and his fiance and all?
Yeah.
And you got up and walked to your mom's house. Why did you do that?
I don't remember walking to my mom's house.
Do you remember being there?
I didn't remember being there until I was told.
Do you remember drinking cooking oil at your mother's house?
No. I didn't remember it at first, and then now I have a faint memory of it.
Do you have any idea in the world why you would do that?
No, I don't know why.
You don't remember her bringing you back to the restaurant?
No.
At one point, you pulled your hand back like you were going to hit your father. Do you recall that?
Faintly.
And you didn't, you stopped, and your dad did confront you in the restaurant and say, you know, come on, what are you doing? Straighten up here. And he had done that a few times during the day, and actually in days leading up to it, and you kind of snapped out of it and came back to yourself. Do you remember that happening some?
I mean, sort of, but no, it's kind of hard.
When your mother brought you back to the restaurant, do you remember why you left?
I think to teach my dad a lesson, because I was mad at him. I just wanted to clear my head and run to his house or walk, or I don't know.
Do you have any inkling of what was in your mind that led to the incident? Did you feel at risk?
I saw a person named Daniel. I don't know if he was real or not, but he was a sketchy kid that was from my childhood. And he said, "Hey, Austin," and I panicked. And then I went to the nearest place to get help, and then I don't know what happened. I don't have a clear memory of it, so I wasn't intended with the goal of killing anybody.
I understand.
I never wanted to hurt anybody. I never wanted to go to jail. I never wanted to get in trouble. That's the hardest thing I've ever been through.
Did you get confused as to where you were because you turned one street before your father's street on your way home?
I saw Daniel. I got panicked and I got scared and was looking for help. And I guess the nearest house was that house.
And Wade, do we have any idea if this Daniel person was anywhere in the vicinity, or was this all a hallucination?
It's a hallucination. Daniel hadn't been around him for 12 years.
12 years. I assumed as much. I just wanted to confirm that. So there was no Daniel, but you did see Daniel in your mind. It's as real to you as I am to you right now, correct?
Yes.
It's what you knew about him from before that scared you.
Yeah.
He didn't threaten you that night. It's just him being there.
Yeah.
So you panicked at that point.
Yeah.
Did you run?
Yeah.
So you ran down that street, and is that when you saw the open garage door?
Coming up.
Did you leave that restaurant wanting to hurt anyone?
No. No.
Why did you do it?
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the Florida frat boy accused of murder.
I don't know how to do this. My son, he's taken off. It seems like he's a little delusional. He says, you know, he feels immortal and like a superhero. So I don't know what's going on with him. And he was out to dinner with his dad today and he took off.
He left on foot?
Yes. He had no ID on him, no phone. We'll say, I think the only thing he has on him is a pocket knife switchblade.
So you panicked at that point.
Yeah.
Did you run?
Yeah.
So you ran down that street, and is that when you saw the open garage door?
Yes.
When you ran up into that garage and the woman was there, were you running to her for help?
I don't think I ran up to her. I think I just screamed at, and then it's a blur.
Do you recall the first thing you said to them or they said to you when you came walking up?
All I remember was there was a woman in the garage. I was screamed at, I guess. Well, I didn't know this, but apparently I didn't have my pants on or shirt on.
Do you remember when you took your clothing off?
I didn't remember it at first, but I have a faint memory of taking my pants off at some point before I saw Daniel, but I never realized that my clothes were off later. It's hard to explain.
Right. It kind of runs together for you.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened next?
No. I don't. I have some memory of what happened, but I don't remember how we got into the altercation.
Do you remember her husband coming out?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he said?
No.
Do you remember that you used a weapon?
I remember using a machete.
Do you remember where you got it?
I think somewhere in the garage. I don't know. I think in the left corner or something. I don't know.
Do you know why you picked it up?
No.
Did you want to hurt and stab the neighbor that came running over?
No, I didn't have any memory of that. I only remember him yelling at me.
Well, the report is that you stabbed him multiple times, and he heroically tried to save those people. He was severely wounded.
I don't remember fighting him or stabbing him.
When you went in that garage, did you drink something in that garage that you found there?
I don't want to talk about that. I can't talk about that.
Uh-huh. You had severe burns to your esophagus, right?
Yeah.
And do you know what caused you to go into a coma?
I didn't know at the time, but I guess I know now.
And what have they told you caused you to go into the coma?
Whatever I drank.
Okay. When you left the restaurant that night, the night of the incident, were you confused or were you thinking straight in your opinion?
I don't remember thinking at all. It's like a blur, sort of. So I don't think I was thinking straight.
Did you leave that restaurant wanting to hurt anyone?
No.
Why did you do it?
I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you.
Do you think you're mentally ill?
I guess so. I didn't know, though.
There was this theory about Flocka. Have you ever taken Flocka? Do you know what Flocka is?
The Florida frat boy accused of murder. Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Austin Harrouff continues.
It was a case when the knife-wielding attacker, the sheriff says, turned into an adrenaline-fueled animal.
People on Flocka or bath salts will do this type of behavior where they attack their victim and they do the biting and actually just remove pieces of flesh.
The question remains, why did he do it?
There's absolutely no evidence at this point that our offender knew our victims. It does look like a completely unprovoked and random attack.
There was this theory about Flocka that you had somehow taken Flocka. Do you know what Flocka is?
I don't know. My dad told me it was a crystal or something.
Have you ever taken Flocka?
No.
You didn't take it the day of the incident?
No.
Have you ever seen a friend take it, or has there been around any parties or anywhere?
No. I've never seen it before. I've never heard of my friends taking it. I've never been around it. I don't even know where to get it, honestly.
Is there any chance anybody could have slipped that drug into your food or into something you drank, or poisoned you with it, contaminated you with it that day?
I drank some tea at Duffy's, so I don't think they would poison me, or anybody would poison me.
So when this tox screen comes back, they're not going to find those substances in your tox screen, correct?
No.
You've heard of bath salts, right? Have you ever taken anything like that?
No.
So never seen it. Never seen it? Have any of your friends ever taken it?
No.
There's just no way that has anything to do with this incident or what took place. Yeah. Do you remember waking up that morning, going on the nature walk with your dad and your sister?
Yeah, I remember that.
And how did you feel on that nature walk?
Paranoid.
You felt paranoid?
Yeah. I saw turtle shells, and I was scared because my dad was slow, and I thought he was in danger.
Does that make sense to you now still?
No.
Austin, can I go back before this incident a little bit? Because I have a theory about what's happened here. And you have a best friend that you spent quite a bit of time with, and that the two of you had kind of quit hanging out together. You had started acting quite unusual for a period of time before that. Do you recall that you and your friend had kind of quit hanging out together and working out together?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I started being super serious, talking like an extremist, and talking religion and stuff like that. And I think he got scared, wouldn't return my phone calls.
Do you know why you started to think that way and talk that way and behave that way?
I don't know why, it just happened. I was looking into the Illuminati and weird things, just being a leader and stuff like that. I don't know.
Were you aware that you had made a shift in your thinking that was making people uncomfortable?
Not really. I wasn't aware that I was pushing people away, and I didn't know it was affecting my relationships with my friend.
Mm-hmm. And when you were making these videos that you were putting up on YouTube, you were doing voices and stuff, just acting silly, because, you know, like people do on YouTube.
I'm going to talk to you about why I don't do steroids.
The content that you were putting up there about not doing steroids and that sort of thing, did you ever do steroids?
Never.
Never, ever did steroids?
Never tried it once, never.
Did you feel that you were particularly strong or powerful or invulnerable to being injured?
I remember jumping on my friends in my dad's car and behaving like wildly, and I don't know why. I don't remember a lot of things that people tell me I did.
Did you have any recollection of feeling like you had a superpower in any way?
Yeah.
And what was the superpower?
Coming up.
I've heard voices of monsters and stuff, but I've never realized that I was hearing voices that weren't there.
The voices that you're hearing, what are they telling you? Closed captioning provided by...
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Austin Harrouff.
Did you have any recollection of feeling like you had a superpower in any way?
Yeah.
And what was the superpower?
I felt like I could sort of read people. I didn't know I was like strong or anything.
And did you have superhuman strength?
I guess so.
Why do you say I guess so?
Because I'm alive. And I don't know. Because of what I lived through.
Have you had a difficult time separating what was real and what is fantasy?
I didn't know I was seeing anything. I didn't know that I was hearing voices. When I was little, and I'd have sleep paralysis, and sometimes I'd hear things like when I was just waking up. And like in college, I've heard voices of monsters and stuff. I've never realized that I was hearing voices that weren't there.
Tell me, the voices that you're hearing since you've awakened, what are they telling you?
It's like people tell me things like them telling me to run.
When they would tell you to run, what would they say?
They just said to run, so I did.
So you would actually act on what the voice told you to do?
Yes.
Other than telling you to run, do you remember anything else specific that a voice told you to do?
Maybe the waiter at Calavera's, some Mexican restaurant, and he told me that I got stuck at the table. I don't know if he actually said that. And like he was pressuring me to drink and stuff, and I didn't want to.
From time to time, your hands are drifting up into the frame of the camera like this. Are you having trouble with your hands?
Yeah, they're numb.
Yeah, you don't have any feeling in them at all?
My hands are messed up. And I don't know how they got that way. It's just not normal. It's like they're shaky and they're not the same.
How about the rest of your health right now? How are you doing otherwise with regard to your health?
They said there was something wrong with my brain.
This is purely conjecture. Why do you think you did what you did?
Coming up.
Have you ever had any fantasies of hurting the people you love before the day of this incident? Closed captioning provided by
Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Austin Harrouff continues.
This is purely conjecture. Why do you think you did what you did?
I really don't know.
We know why you think you went to the house. We know that you were trying to get away from Daniel. How do you explain to yourself that you saw someone that wasn't there?
I guess something mentally wasn't right.
How do you explain going 2 miles from the restaurant to your mother's house and not remembering it?
I don't know. Maybe something happened. I can't remember.
The only way you could do that and not remember it would be to have been out of touch with reality, correct?
Correct.
I was very interested in Austin Harrouff's state of mind at the time, so I asked a series of questions to give me a sense of how oriented he was. I asked him to repeat a series of numbers, and then I asked him to repeat them backwards. I also asked him to describe a ball. I asked him to describe a very concrete concept, the difference between hot and cold. I asked him to describe what depression meant to him and to define what schizophrenia meant to him. These things are different levels of conceptual thinking and gave me an idea of how cognitively agile and how cognitively present he was at the time. I also asked him what number does he like the least. Austin says number 6. You will notice that I had written down the number 6 before he responded. You're probably wondering how I knew what he was going to say. People that suffer from obsessive-compulsive disorder, for some reason, often have a difficulty with the number 6. It makes them uncomfortable. We don't know why, but it does tend to repeat among those that suffer from this type of malfunction, this type of disorder. That certainly was the case here. You can draw your own conclusions about his state of mind and his level of emotional stability based on his responses. I'm going to ask you to do something for me here that'll seem a little silly, but if you'll bear with me, I'm going to say a series of numbers, and I'd like you to repeat them for me if you would, okay?
Okay.
6, 8, 7, 3.
6, 8, 7, 3.
9, 4, 5, 6, 2.
9, 4, 5, 6, 2.
Okay, can you now repeat that last series of numbers for me backwards?
2, 6, 5, 4, 9.
Thank you very much. Tell me what this means, if you would. Shallow brooks are noisy.
Some sort of water, body of water is loud.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what a brook is.
Can you tell me what a ball is?
It's a round object that you use to play games with. Play football, soccer, baseball.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference between hot and cold?
When you're hot, you feel uncomfortable in a different way. You start to sweat. When you're cold, you start to freeze. You can get frostbite. When you're hot, you can get dehydrated.
How would you describe depression?
Feeling low, insecure. Not feeling happy, feeling sad.
Do you know what schizophrenia is?
I just know that hearing voices and stuff.
Of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, which number do you like the least?
Probably 6.
Tell me why.
I like the number 1, I like the number 2, I like the number 3, and I don't mind the other numbers, but number 6 is just a number that I don't like.
Would you like to know what number I wrote down that you weren't going to like before you said it?
Yes. 6. How did you know that?
How do you think I knew it?
Maybe it's something to do with the devil too, I don't know. I just thought about that.
Coming up.
You know that 2 people lost their lives here. What do you think's going to happen to you? Do you think that you will get the death penalty for this?
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with Austin Harrouff.
The Florida college student accused of killing a couple and then chewing on one of the victims' faces is conscious. Local station WPEC reports Austin Harrouff is awake and responsive. The Martin County Sheriff's Office has not been able to question the teen since the incident.
Have you ever had any fantasies of hurting the people you love before the day of this incident?
Never.
Never had any fantasies of hurting your dad or your mom or anyone?
No. I never had a fantasy of hurting anybody.
Have you ever had a fantasy of hurting yourself?
Never knowingly tried to commit suicide or never wanted to die. I felt depressed and stuff before. I used to be really shy, but I never wanted to commit suicide.
You know that two people lost their lives here, Michelle and John Stevens. You didn't know them at all, right? You didn't premeditate this, you didn't plan this in any way?
Would never plan or do something like that.
Right. What do you think's going to happen to you?
Well, I know I'm going to go to jail, and I know that a lot of people have said bad things about me, and I understand, and I feel terrible, and I just want to tell the world that I'm sorry.
Do you think that you will get the death penalty for this?
I don't know.
Do you think you should?
No.
Why not?
Because I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't want it to happen. I never planned it out. I never wanted to hurt anybody. I never wanted to murder anybody. I never wanted to get a speeding ticket. I never wanted to get in trouble with the law. I always tried to follow the rules and try to be a good person.
Do you feel like there's something seriously wrong with you?
I don't know. I guess there was something seriously wrong with me, but right now I feel normal, or almost normal.
Have you seen a picture of Michelle and John Stevens since the incident?
Yes.
Is it hard for you to imagine that you did this to these two people? Closed captioning provided by...
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview with the Florida frat boy accused of murder.
Have you seen a picture of Michelle and John Stevens since the incident?
Yes.
Is it hard for you to imagine that you did this to these two people?
Yeah. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through, or I never imagined that this would ever happen. And I'm deeply sorry to the family that was affected. And I hope that something like this never happens again. I didn't ever want to consciously do something like this, or I never planned it.
If their family members are watching this right now, what do you say to them?
I'm sorry for their loss, and I hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And I'm so sorry, and I never wanted this to happen. I'm so sorry. It's like a nightmare. I never wanted this to happen.
Austin, are you ashamed of what you did?
Yes. Yes. I just wanted to let them know that I'm sorry. I can imagine how it must feel to lose such a close relative. It was for what happened to me. I wouldn't know what to do, and I would be so sad. I'm just so sorry.
After this interview was recorded, Austin's drug test results came back. The FBI tests show Austin tested negative for the street drug flakka and negative for bath salts. Austin had no detectable hallucinogenic drugs in his system on the night of the attack. The toxicology test did show trace amounts of marijuana in his system and evidence of alcohol. Since recording this interview, Austin has undergone a comprehensive and thorough psychological workup and evaluation. It's my understanding that the results were consistent with my impressions of him that I expressed throughout the interview you have seen. A grand jury has charged Austin Harrouff with 2 counts of first-degree murder. I just want to say, I think it's important, as we talk about this horrific event, that we take a moment to remember that John Stevens and Michelle Mishcon tragically lost their lives, and that their neighbor, Jeff Fisher, was seriously wounded in a heroic attempt to help them. Sometimes we focus so much on the events that we forget about the impact on the people involved in those events. Our hearts go out to the families of all 3 of the people so tragically impacted by this circumstance. For more information on mental illness and the warning signs, go to drphil.com. Thanks for watching.
The Dr. Phil Show received the following statement from the Mishcon family regarding Dr. Phil's interview with Austin Harrouff.